Hey everyone, Alex here with Quantum DSP. Thank you very much to everyone that took the time to respond to our survey about amp modelers. It looks like there's a varying degree of comfort using these type of devices, and the Neural Quad Cortex users were wondering, how do I get a proper Pro Tools recording using a very simple signal chain in the Quad Cortex? Well, you're about to find out, so grab a guitar, it's time to rock. I've fired up my Quad Cortex as well as the desktop editor Cortex Control. Now before we begin recording, we want to ensure that the master volume on the Quad Cortex is set to 100%. It functions a lot like an attenuator, so if you want those really full range sounds, say a 100-watt amplifier in all of its glory, you want to hear that at 100%. Now you can change the volume settings to your studio monitors or to your headphones by using the input-output settings as well as the amplifier block itself. So I've got Cortex Control open now, and the first thing I'm going to do is go to our input-output or I/O settings by clicking on this icon up here in the right corner. And we'll select I/O settings. And so this is the basic input-output paths that I have enabled, and you can go ahead and copy this if you like. As you can see, I have my input gain set to 0 because we are plugging into the high Z input of the Quad Cortex. And once you've gone and done this, you can select Done and return to the amplifier block. And we're going to start with a really basic day one, straight out of the box kind of Quad Cortex signal chain setup. It's going to be a lot like plugging directly into your tube amplifier. So right here, I'm going to go and select under Neural Captures. I'm going to be looking for, through this massive list, the Angle Rainbow 6, which is the Ritchie Blackmore signature amplifier. And I'm going to go ahead and increase the gain to around in there, dial back the bass and the mids just a bit to get this sort of sound. So this will be our setup for this particular amplifier. Now the next thing we need to add is a cabinet or an IR loader. In this case, I'm going to go and add an IR loader, and we're going to select the single stereo option. And the one that we're looking for is from our high octane rock pack. It's going to be called Haven No. In front of this amp, I'm going to throw a tube screamer with like a little bit of overdrive to act as a boost. So we're going to go for the green 808, as Neural calls it. And I'm going to turn that overdrive down to 0, leave the tone at 5, and increase the level to 10. Now we're going to add a bit of reverb. So I'm thinking like a hall reverb would be pretty good for this. And we'll select hall. And the mix at 35 is going to be too high for what we're looking for. So I'm just going to dial that back to around this 18.3. So this is our basic setup. And let's listen to see what that sounds like. All right, let's go ahead and record that. So we'll create a new Pro Tools session called QC Test Record using 48 kilohertz and a bitrate of 24. So let's go ahead and create that. Here we are on the main screen of Pro Tools, also known as the edit window. And the first thing we want to do is ensure that our playback engine is set to the Quad Cortex. In this case, you can see that the Quad Cortex is already selected, but in some cases you might have your computer speakers operating or something else. So let's select OK. And our next step is to create two tracks, one being a live sound coming out of the Quad Cortex, and the other is a DI track or direct input. So we're going to go up to the track window and select New. And our first one will be the stereo live guitar sound, so we'll name that Live. And then we'll hit plus, and then we've got a mono signal for our DI or direct input, and we'll select Create. Now that we've created our two new tracks, we're going to go up to the Windows menu and we're going to select the Mix window. Now this opens up a new screen where we can edit the faders, or we can also check the I/O settings. So for the live track, we want to ensure that this corresponds to the Quad Cortex's USB 3. So we're going to change this interface to USB 3 and ensure that our output path is selected at 1-2 stereo. Now for the direct in, as you can see, it's already set to input 1, but you want to make sure that that input signal is there so it's completely unaffected and a proper DI. Now that we've set our input and output levels to correspond with the Quad Cortex, we're ready to record. So let's go ahead and arm both of these, and I'm going to mute both channels because I don't want latency issues when I'm monitoring through Pro Tools, and I'm going to select record here and play. So now the track is rolling. Let's go ahead and see what that sounds like. Now that we've recorded both of those guitar tracks, you have a live guitar and you can expand on your rig and your different amplifier setups, and you have a direct input. You can use the DI to reamp the existing take that you had, so if you like the performance, you can keep that, and you can just change the sounds in your Quad Cortex for future recordings. Be sure to check out quantumdsp.com for the latest and greatest information. We've got a lot of really exciting things happening in the next few months here with hybrid IR pack drops, as well as something really cool, but we're gonna hold off on telling you about that one, but stay tuned. All right, once again, have a rocking day. Hope to see you soon.